Looks like it is 5:30, so we'll get started here. So welcome everyone. We'll start with our heart opener tonight. So let's get our blocks set up. Tallest orientation is probably where you want the block for the base of your skull. Middle or lower orientation for the block that will go on the lower portion of your shoulder blades. So let's sit in front of the blocks and drape ourselves over them. And then once you feel your shoulder blades supported and the base of your skull supported, then kind of adjust your pelvis so that you just have a natural curve in the spine, but that you don't have it overarched. And then decide if you want your legs bent, crisscrossed, or stretched out straight. Maybe playing with your different options there. And then let the arms just spill out to the sides with the palms facing up. And let your eyes float closed. Take a mental scan of your body from head to toe. Just first of all, making sure everything is comfortable. If you need to change the level of the blocks. And then also looking a little deeper, just being mindful of any areas that are feeling achy or needy in any way. And check in with your mind, noticing the quality as well as the quantity of the thoughts that are still hovering around your mind. And checking with your heart, seeing if you can identify whatever emotion is strongest right now. And then we'll return to the physical, this time checking in with the breath. Noticing what an ordinary breath feels like. If you feel it moving freely through the chest, through the rib cage, down into the belly, or does it hit any roadblocks along the way? And then when you're ready, begin to deepen and slow your breath down, moving into a standard 3-part breath. Just filling the belly, filling the side ribs, filling the upper chest. That's my favorite breath practice to do on these blocks. You can really feel that lift and openness. And then when you're ready, you let it all go. And you just feel your body melt into your props and into the mat. And then begin again. Slow, deep inhale through the nose to your belly, your side ribs, your upper chest. And now the exhale can either be through your nose or through your mouth if you prefer. But when ready, just give yourself the time needed to completely let it all go. And then take a few more cycles at the just right pace for you. After you complete the cycle that you're on, let your breath return to its natural state. And let's position the legs so that the knees are bent. You might want to lift and tuck your bum under just a bit and set it back down to keep that neutral spine. And then just lightly engage navel towards spine, just so we keep this nice neutrality there. And then let's take the arms and reach them up towards the sky. So palms are facing each other. And then reach through the fingertips so much that you feel your shoulders pulling away from that support of the block. We're protracting the shoulder blades here. And then with an exhale, we'll leave the arms straight, but let them sink heavily into the shoulder sockets, like we're letting the shoulders press towards the block or towards the floor. So we're retracting our shoulder blades here. And let's do that a couple more times. With the inhale, we'll reach up, we'll protract. Exhale, sink down and retract. One more time. And then reach up once more, protracting. And then this time on the exhale, we'll reach overhead. Let's even interlace the fingers a bit so we take some of the work away from the arms. Letting the arms float overhead. And this is where we do want to make sure that the navel is lightly engaged to the spine. Otherwise, we just overarch the low back and we really don't invite that stretch into the shoulder and upper back. Now from here, imagine that you can press the backs of your hands towards the wall that's behind you. And then let your left arm pull just a little bit more to the left. So you're reaching kind of at an angle to the corner of the room. And then your right arm pulls a little bit. We're doing a little tug of war here, back and forth with the arms. Find that little rhythm, that flow. And then with the next exhale, we'll just let the fingers separate, let the arms come out wide. The elbows can bend here so that you can let the backs of the forearms rest on the floor and feeling the upper chest release here. And then slide those forearms up like you're trying to make your arms into a Y instead of out like a T. They won't go very far because I want you to at least keep the backs of your hands on the floor. So it might only go up a very small distance here, but I can feel that through the shoulders and upper chest some more. And then release the arms, let them come to the sides and press the elbows or the forearms into the floor so that you can lift yourself up off of the blocks. And we'll scoot one block away, put the other block on the middle orientation, and then lay back down so that the base of your skull is on the flat side of this block, on the middle orientation. You can take it lower too if you need to. You could also roll a blanket here if your neck is particularly tender today. Do the same thing with the softness of a blanket. So we start with a block nice and flat and secure on the floor, arms resting at the sides. And then let's rotate our head like we're shaking it no in slow motion. We do this 2 or 3 times. Just get the feel for the rotation of the neck and if there are any just big obvious knots here. And if this feels really good, then stay here. If this doesn't feel like much is happening, then it means you need to tilt the block so that the corner, the edge of the block rather, is pressing right below the base of the skull. The other edge is pressing into the floor. If you feel like you need more stability here, you could use one hand to hold the block if you're afraid it will kind of topple over. And then it's the same movement here. Slow motion, right and left. This will feel much more intense. I will warn you. So go slowly. Relax your head as much as possible here, using the minimal amount of effort possible to get your head to rotate side to side. When you come across a knot, you might like to just slowly roll back and forth over it, or you may like to pause and take a deep breath and see if that helps soothe it. And then when you've had enough of that motion, let your head and neck return to neutral and let everything go and just feel the traction on your neck. And then use one hand to lift your head so the neck stays relaxed. The other hand takes the block away, and then set your head back down on the mat. Let's scoop the knees in towards the chest. Now moving our warm up down a little lower. Maybe rock a bit side to side. And then let's keep the right knee into the chest. Extend the left leg out long, flexing the foot, pressing the thigh into the floor. And then wrap the hands around the right thigh. We'll extend that leg up long. Either continue to hold the thigh or walk the hands to the calf. Just find that beginning stretch of a hamstring. And while we hold here, let's flex that right foot, wiggle through the toes, and then maybe point and flex it a few times, helping to warm up the calf. And then we'll let that leg bend. We'll set the foot on the left thigh. Extend the right arm out from the shoulder like a T. Left hand can go on that right knee. Let's rock into a half twist. Just going halfway over and then rocking back. Do that a few more times. And then finally hold in this half twisted position. Notice how your breath does or doesn't move here. Then intentionally try to deepen that breath. And with an exhale, return to your back. Let's scoop the left knee into the chest. Extend the right leg out long. And then wrap the hands around that left thigh. Extend the leg up.
any amount. Leave the hands there or transfer them to the calf. And then let's flex that foot. Wiggle the toes. And then point and flex a few times. You'll feel your calf beginning to awaken here. We'll walk the hands back down to the thigh. That foot can be placed on the opposite thigh. And let's take the knee across the body, just halfway into a twist, and rock back out of it 2 or 3 more times. And then finally, just hold there. Watch what happens with your breath. Then intentionally deepen the breath. And on the exhale, return onto your back and set that foot down. You can let the right leg bend as well. And then let's roll to one side and roll over onto the belly. We'll go back to the shoulder area just a bit, neck and shoulder area. So first up, I may not do this one too much with you. I have a stuffy nose. This might really let the floodgates open. But for now, for you, come onto your elbows, let your forearms stack on each other, and we just let the forehead rest. And then once again, when you feel ready, you start rocking your forehead side to side, using as minimal effort as you can to just get that little motion going. And then after this breath, let's bring the arms out to cactus. You can let your right cheek rest on the mat. So the right arm is going to stay. In fact, take a look at it. Just make sure that the elbow is at the same plane as the shoulder and it's not down any lower, because it's important to have the elbow at the shoulder level or even a little bit higher. So we'll leave the right arm where it is, but then we'll take the left hand, place it by the left shoulder, and press in. So you're starting to peel the left side of your body up off of the floor. And you're going to feel this in the right side of the shoulder. You can come as far as you like. You could even take that left leg behind you a little bit, like you're reaching that left leg back, taking it to a level that's a comfortable stretch on that right arm and shoulder. Now, if it's comfortable too, here, you could let your head just rest on the mat while you do this. If that's not comfortable, you could let it rest on a block as well. And then with the next exhale, release back onto your belly. Bring that left arm back up into a cactus. And then bring the right hand by the right shoulder. Press in. Begin to peel your right side away from the floor. You can lift that left leg and reach it behind to help facilitate that. Your head resting either on the floor or on a block. And then return onto the belly. We'll bring both hands by the shoulders and make our way into a tabletop. Take a few little cat-cow motions here. Inhaling, we let the belly sink down.
Exhale, navel to spine. Let the tailbone drop down. Find your flow. And then when ready, walk the hands forward. Let's find a puppy pose here. Letting your forehead rest on the mat. Hips stacked over the knees or slightly behind. And then if you prefer, you could sink the hips back over the heels, making your way into a child's pose. And then back into a tabletop we go. You'll tuck the toes, lift the hips, find that first down dog. So paddling the feet back and forth a few times, maybe letting your hips sway a bit side to side. And then eventually walking the feet up towards the hands, leaving the knees bent so that you can drop the upper body down from the hips, finding a ragdoll pose. As you hang in ragdoll, be sure to let your head be heavy so that your neck can become long. And maybe once again, you shake your head no, slow motion, or maybe you nod your head yes. Maybe you let your shoulders and arms just dangle. See how much you can let go of here. And then engage the core. With the next inhale, sweep the arms out and up as we come to standing. Exhale, swan dive halfway down. Inhale, lengthen the spine some more. And then exhale, slide your hands down the shins any amount. Then put a little bend back in the knees. And slowly roll all the way upright. Let's meet at the top of the mat. And we'll move into some warrior poses. So let's step the right foot back, letting the hips open out. Okay, left toes forward, right toes out more towards the sides. Let's make it a nice deep warrior here since we've stretched the legs pretty good in the warm-up. Light core engagement. And then inhale, sweeping the arms out. Exhale, crisscross right over left, either hug or wrap the palms. So now we're softening through the back of the heart. Inhale, bring the elbows up. Exhale, let the elbows sink. 2 more times here. And then allow the arms to return out into the standard warrior. And with the next inhale, we'll reach high with the left arm. That right hand sliding down the back leg. Can you breathe into the left side of the ribs? Can you create as much space as possible from the left fingertips to the right fingertips? So we're pulling and stretching dynamically through that upper body region, even as we work the lower body here. From here, let's straighten the left leg. That's the only change we make. And then we'll cartwheel the upper body around to find our triangle pose. And then let's bend the front leg. Let the elbow come to the thigh so we can set up for our side angle. And let's circle this right arm around first. And then your choice, you can let it reach up to the sky or reach overhead in a diagonal, or you can reach that arm behind you, bending at the elbow, letting the back of the right hand touch the left hip bottom, or you could take a complete bind if you're able to reach your hands underneath your left thigh and clasp them. I don't take it that fully myself, but with my right hand pressing in to my left hip, I find that I'm able to open up my top shoulder just a little bit more. And then we'll release that arm, reach back up, spinning back into the warrior. Let's deepen it for just 3 breaths. And then the hands find the hips. You can walk that back foot up until it's comfortable to step to the top of the mat. Notice what you're feeling. And then we'll take that to the other side. So left foot, giant step back, open the hips up, arms floating out shoulder height. And then left arm crisscrosses over right, hugging or wrapping. Feel the backside of the heart starting to stretch and soften as we let the elbows rise on the inhale and sink on the exhale. Couple more times. And then release them back out. With the next inhale, right arm reaches up, left hand sliding down the back leg. Put lots of energy into the arms, trying to stretch them as far apart from each other while keeping the lower body nice and low. And then we'll let that right leg straighten. Everything else stays the same. And with an exhale, we'll cartwheel the arms around to land in our triangle. And we'll bend the right leg. Let that right elbow, forearm come to lightly graze the thigh here. Let's take a circle or two with that left arm, just completely rotating through the shoulder socket. And then you decide if you want that arm to reach up towards the sky, up overhead, or reach it around behind, taking a partial bind. That's what I'll do. The back of my left hand kind of pressing into my right hip or bottom, or take a full bind if that's in your practice. Just peeling that left shoulder open. And then releasing that left arm back up and spinning back into the warrior. Maybe sinking a little deeper, 3 breaths here. And then we'll let the hands find the hips. Heel toe that back foot up until you're ready to come to the top of the mat. Pause here, reconnect with your breath. Notice what you feel. And for our balance pose today, we'll take a standing twist. So if you like to have a little support, you could use a block or stacking your blocks so that you have a landing pad for your foot and for the leg that's elevated. So if you want to choose that option, and you can stack up your blocks to the height that's right for you. And then let's stand nice and sturdy on the right foot, engage the core. We'll lift that left knee. So it comes up about hip height. So if you like to use the blocks, maybe you let the foot touch down, or you can leave it freestanding. And then we'll let the arms sweep up overhead. On an exhale, we'll take a twist to the left. And then either the arms stretch out straight from the shoulders, or you can use that right hand to support your lifted leg a little if you prefer. Now, as the arms are reaching to opposite ends of the room, can you still allow the shoulders to soften so we don't tense up the neck that we have released? One more breath in. And then exhale, we unwind and set that foot down. Let go of whatever that experience was. And let's stand on our left foot, engage the core, lift the right knee, maybe place the foot on a block, maybe not. And then when ready, let the arms reach overhead, create lots of length here. And then exhale, extend the arms out as we come into our twist. And as much energy as we're putting in reaching the arms far apart, let's remember to keep the shoulders soft. One more breath in. And then exhaling, unwind. Set that foot back down. Notice what you feel. And then let's take our blocks and just put them down lower in case we want them for our lunge. And we'll step the right foot back into a lunge so our hips are staying squared to the front of the mat. We'll settle in here, let that right knee bend a little, get the pelvis lined so it's upright, tailbone down, navel into the spine. And then let's take the right arm, reach it across the body over to the left, and then the left hand can hold on to that right forearm or elbow or upper arm, just kind of anchoring it in place. Relax the right shoulder, and then slowly turn to look over that right shoulder. As you're looking over the right shoulder, imagine that you could take your right ear and drop it down just a bit behind your shoulder. That tilts your head to get a little bit of the different musculature in the neck there. And we'll bring the head back upright. Release the arms. Walk the hands down to either to your blocks or to the mat. Let's sink into a much deeper lunge here. Maybe even, let's put the knee onto the floor here. Let the top of the back foot rest down. And then fingertips can come up to the blocks. We'll just keep them there today. As the fingertips plug in, let's engage that right glute to press the hip crease forward. Think of lifting through your heart and even lifting through your gaze so that you feel the front of the neck get a little stretch, but not hyperextending by any means. And then release. Let's take the blocks so that they're both inside of that left foot. Heel toe the foot out towards the side of the mat so we have a little more room here. And then let's come down into a crocodile stretch. So you could keep the hands on the blocks if you want to, or you could bring the hands on down to the floor. Or if you're ready for a nice deep stretch, bring your forearms on down to the floor. Now let's come back onto the hands. And I like to have my hands on the blocks on their lowest orientation for this next little bit, because we want to stretch out the right quad while we're here. So just as if you could drag your weight forward just a bit, let that right leg bend. Any amount, and you'll feel a nice stretch on that quad. But if you do want to deepen the stretch, then reach behind, see if you can find your foot or your ankle and intensify that just a bit. And then we'll release it down. Can shift your hips back so that your hips are over that right knee and come into basically a tabletop pose, but you can have your hands on the blocks. And then we'll tuck the toes under. Let's lift into a down dog here. And then make our way back up to the top of the mat. Notice how that felt. And then we'll take, what did we do? We did the right leg back. Let's take the left leg back. So we're finding our high lunge here. Hips are still facing forward, little bend in that back knee. Engage the left glute, so the hip crease on the left side gets attention. And then we'll bring the left arm across the chest to the right. Hold on with the right hand somewhere to anchor that arm in place. Let that left shoulder soften. And then turn to look over the left shoulder. Now, if you like, let your left ear drop down behind the shoulder just a bit and feel that stretch in the front right neck, right along the jawline. Then we'll bring the head back to neutral, release the arms, walk the hands down the legs to get to either the blocks or the floor, and wiggle that left foot back until the knee can touch down. Maybe let the top of the foot rest on the floor. And then come up onto the fingertips. Okay, pressing into a deeper lunge here with that left hip crease especially. Lift through your heart, lift through your gaze, stretching the front of the neck without hyperextending. And then looking forward once again and bringing both blocks inside of the right foot. Walk that foot out to make space for the blocks. And then we start to creep down lower into a crocodile lunge. Whether you stay on your hands, on your forearms, on blocks, or on the floor, just sink into the depth of a lunge that is right for you tonight. And make our way back up onto the hands, onto the blocks. Shift the hips back so that we can come onto the knees. And we'll take one final down dog, placing the hands into the block, lifting through your hips. And then once in this dog pose tonight, if you'd like to try a variation of crossing one foot behind the other, and then shifting back into your down dog and shifting your hips slightly side to side. That's a new variation that I picked up, and it really stretches my IT band. So you may like it for those of you that like that nice deep IT band stretch. And then when you're ready, you change the cross of the legs, putting the opposite foot in front. As you shift a bit side to side, you'll find that place where you need to pause and hold and let the IT band release. And then uncross the legs if you were in that variation. And we'll come back on down to the knees. And we'll have a seat, letting the legs come out in front. And actually, let's sit on our blocks. That'll make it nicer for our back here. So we'll take the legs out, legs bent, but they're out in a V. So it's a compass pose here. It'll be a side stretch and a leg stretch. We'll take that left elbow and slide it inside of the left thigh, knee area, taking the right arm and reaching it up at a diagonal. The gaze follows that right hand. Now, if you like more depth, you just sink your left elbow down further. If you're super flexible, you can add a bind here, sweeping that left arm underneath your leg and then clasping the hands. I don't think I'll try that one today. Now with the next exhale, you just let both of your hands kind of find the floor here and walk them forward. So you're reaching in between both feet here. Try to keep the spine neutral, your gaze forward. And then walk the hands back in. And we'll let the right elbow just slide down from that right thigh, knee area. You can anchor in place there and then left arm up at a diagonal, or feel free to bind here. And then with the next exhale, we just let both hands kind of make their way to the floor and walk them center and then forward. Let the gaze stay forward. And this time while we're here, we let the legs or the heels slide out so the legs come a little bit straighter, and just rock forward on your pelvis like you're trying to roll onto your pubic bone rather than your tailbone. And then see if you can creep the fingers any more forward. Feel both those inner thighs getting this really nice stretch. And walk the hands just a little towards that left leg. And then slowly come back through center. And then over towards the right foot. Back to center. And then back in towards the body as we come back upright. And we'll bring the soles of the feet together. We'll bring the heels in towards the groin. You might find it's more comfortable since we're up on a block, giving us that extra support here. And then take hold of your feet if you can and open them up like a book. So pinky toes stay touching, but the big toes are peeling apart. In theory, that releases some of the nerves up through the inner thighs and helps the legs to relax a bit more. So inhale, grow tall through the spine, and then exhale, hinging forward from the hips only. We won't round over here. Let the legs relax and receive this stretch. See if you can let your shoulders relax as well. And release. Let the knees come together and then just scooch yourself off of your block. You can set them off to the side. We're finished with them. We still need to get some more outer thigh stretch though. So let's lay back and cross the right ankle over the left thigh. By all means, if you want a full pigeon pose tonight, flip back over and take that full pigeon. Otherwise, we'll take the reclining figure 4 version. Right ankle over the left thigh with that foot flexed, and then reach in, scoop the hands around the left thigh, bringing the legs in towards the chest. And then take a little movement to scoop your tailbone under, smooth out your low back to the floor, and then go the opposite way. So we're rolling into a bit of an arch, and then land in between. So your spine is actually neutral here. And keeping that spine in neutral, then try to bring the legs just a hair closer towards the chest. And release. Change the legs, so left ankle to right thigh, foot stays flexed. Let's reach around and scoop that right thigh in, and then go ahead and curl the tailbone under, smooth the low back out, and then rock the other way, so you create a little bit of an arch in the low back. And then find that neutral spine in between those two options, keeping the spine in neutral, and try to bring the legs in closer to the chest. And then release, uncross, set the feet down. And then let's take a bridge pose while we're here. So feet are in nice and close to the bottom. Now we'll roll the hips on up, lifting them as high as they'll go. Roll into the tops of the shoulders while you're here as well. See if you can interlace the fingers back behind you. And then press your upper arms into the floor. Get even more height through the hips. Sternum bone pressing to the chin. Relax the back of the neck and the tops of the shoulders. And breathe. And with the next inhale, sweep the arms up overhead. With the exhale, slowly roll out. Once your sacrum touches down, you can release the arms out from the shoulders like a T. Bring the knees in towards the chest. And then with an exhale, let the knees drift over to one side so that you can land in a twist. Once here,
Use the minimal amount of effort to maintain this position and simply watch your breath. And let your next inhale be deeper. Your exhale, letting you return onto your back. Pause here. And then when you're ready, let an exhale carry your knees to the other side, settling into your twist, letting go of all effort. With the next exhale, return to your back. Let the feet touch down. Pause. And then begin to make your way into your desired relaxation pose. Propping up as you like, or stretching out as you like. Just settling in a space where you can feel the right side of your body equal to your left. So, as if you could draw a straight line from your nose through your sternum to your navel, feeling equal on both sides. And then let your eyes float closed. Let's take a deep breath in. And then exhaling, release the weight of your head. Just let it sink into the support of the mat. Maybe even rock your head again, left and right, side to side. See if you feel any difference in the tension in the neck and the shoulders here. And then eventually that head just rocks into the just right neutral position. Let's relax through the temples. Imagine you could relax your cheekbones and your jaw. Release any gripping that you're aware of in your neck. And let that release travel into your shoulders, down your arms, into your hands, into your fingers. And then bring your awareness back up to your shoulders. Do you need to soften them again? And then let this release travel into your chest and upper back, into your belly and low back, into your hips and pelvic floor,
on down in through your legs, into your feet, into your toes. Feel the front side of your body sinking towards your back. The back side of your body sinking into your mat. As you simply sit in awareness of what it feels like to completely relax. Feel free to stay here as long as you desire. But if you're ready to end the class with me, then it's time to take a deep breath in. On exhaling, begin to create movement through the hands, the feet, maybe again rocking your head side to side or rolling your shoulders around. Eventually flopping over onto one side and pausing for another breath or two here. And then slowly and gently making your way up into any seated position. Sitting up tall, bringing the hands to your heart. Sealing your practice with your own quiet prayer or a moment of stillness. And then allowing the hands to release to the lap. The eyes slowly open, returning you to your day. I hope the neck and shoulder areas feel better on you as well as loosening up through the lower body. Sometimes tight shoulders go with tight hips. So anyway, I hope you all have a wonderful rest of your week. And until next time, I wish you peace.
Peace,
Thank you so
Diane.
much.
Have a great weekend.
Thank you.
Thank
Thanks,
you.
Diane.